Alrighty, so we're going to be going on to our next topic, which is, Adam, have you been hearing these stories going around that Star Wars, Lucasfilm is putting all of their standalone Star Wars stories on hold? Have you seen any of these reports?
I think I saw like a headline, but I didn't end up reading the article.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's completely false, actually.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm has actually come out and said...
we never said that?
We never said that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I think one article said that they're licking their wounds after the failure, which I think we can say, failure of Star Wars, a Star Wars story. Still stupid-ass title.
Yeah, dumbass title.
But they said that we are not canceling our standalone Star Wars stories. And that was just, I remembered that. I saw it, and then I was like, that doesn't really sound like something they would do, but let me check it out. And it's just nonstop, everything, posting it like it's truth, like putting them on hold, cancels all Solo films, cancels all these films, and then Lucasfilm came out like 3 days ago and was like, that's not true.
That never happened.
Yeah, we never said that we were doing that, and whoever ran that story should really check their facts. And I wanted to see what your take. You didn't see Solo. But I was wondering what your take on these Star Wars films, Solo one, should be. Do you think that they should continue, just keep on trucking even after the mistake that was Solo? Or do you think that they should put those on hold and focus more on the main episodic films?
For me, I think that they should just... I'm not saying that they should do nothing to change what they're doing. But I don't think that they should not make these films. Just because there wasn't really an audience for a film that nobody really asked for anyways, doesn't mean that they should stop making other films that people might actually be interested in.
True, but I think a big issue is that while I'm just going to speak for both of us, I think both of us enjoy The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but
I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I know.
And I think a lot of people are really hurt by how much they dislike that film. That I do believe that Solo may have suffered slightly because of it. I think there's a few reasons why it suffered.
I think that's probably one. The fact that nobody fucking asked for it's another reason why.
I think the fact that it went Avengers... Then it went Deadpool. Then it went Solo. Yeah. I think people might have just been... remember, like, the statement I literally just made, that I believe that the average person...
Most people don't go see 2 films in 2 months.
Or 3 films in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or, 3 films in a month. Yeah, exactly. You were right on that. But, yeah, I think that people might have just been spent. Going to the movies isn't cheap. It's not.
It's not.
We're actually going to get into that in our last topic. But going into that, like, I'm just going to say, for 2 people to go to a movie is about $20. That's just Minimum. That's just your tickets. That's not including if you want to get concessions. If you want to get
because in the summertime, I mean, unless you got a big old booty hole, good luck getting shit in there.
Yeah. Or you got a purse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tricky. So you're asking, and that's not only, you got to think that that's only 2 people.
Yeah.
You know, like a family. Let's say, I know a guy who has 3 kids. And guess what? His kids are all boys. And he's not taking them to Deadpool, but in Infinity War, definitely. And, that's what is that? $40? $40 to go to the movies.
Is he taking his wife?
No, he didn't take his wife.
Okay. But if he did, that would be $50 then.
Yeah.
Plus, there's tax on it. So I think it comes like $10.50 a ticket now.
Yeah, you're looking, just to tickets, you're probably looking around $55 to $60. I'll just throw it in there. If the average ticket around here is about $9.95.
Yeah.
I would just throw that out there. That's...
Is it insane that I can remember going to see a movie for like $4?
Yeah, I remember when they were like $5 Tuesdays. I was like, man, I used to remember when it was all day, every day, all day, every day it was $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I think my old tickets, I have in my old, my mom's place, I have all these old tickets going back to like, I don't know, 2003, I believe, because I think the first ticket I have on there is when I started collecting ticket stubs was War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah.
Which, whenever that came out, was my first one. And I remember...
That's so fucking weird. Why would you choose that one to start with?
Well, I just was like, oh, cool, this is War of the Worlds. Also, I thought War of the Worlds was... I fucking loved War of the Worlds in theaters. I still like War of the Worlds, so fuck you. I really think that that's a good movie. It has some goofy parts to it, but for the most part, I was like, man, this is fucking epic. I can't wait to be like, look at this. So I believe it's War of the Worlds, but I also have all 5 tickets to my Revenge of the Sith. I remember telling you about that a while back.
Yeah, you saw it 5 times.
Yeah, I saw it 5 times in the theater. But there's also that, and what the hell was I even talking? I got sidetracked. What the hell Star Wars.
Oh, we were talking about how I remember how cheap it was.
Yeah, how cheap it was and why it was found. I think that, and I think,
I remember going to the Ambridge Family Theater and paying $275 to see a movie.
That's insane.
That's a single screen theater that doesn't exist anymore. But
yeah, I've been pretty much going to Bridgeville forever.
Yeah,
Used to be that and Showcase Cinema West, which is now a car place. Because
that's Car Sense now. Mm-hmm.
Car Sense, yeah. Cinemark kind of wiped its ass.
Oh yeah, ruined that.
Showcase Cinemas though was I remember I don't know how I got talked into it, but I went and saw a Harry Potter movie at midnight once. I think one of my coworkers just asked like, "Hey, will you go with me? I know you like movies." I'm like, "I've never seen any Harry Potters. I don't like Harry Potter." And they're like, "Well, I have no one to go with. I'll buy your ticket." And I was like, sure, why not?" And I remember just being in there, and I've never been so uncomfortable. I had like a spring in the back of my back. It was so uncomfortable. So I was glad Showcase Cinema left, but I do like Bridgeville. But going back to it, not to get too far off track, which we did, but the Star Wars films, Solo failing miserably, like it's gonna lose money for sure. It's got double the budget because they pretty much had to reshoot that film. So I understand the logic of, people are going to say that they're canceling these films. But like what they're hinting at possibly coming out are not ones I'm interested in besides the Kenobi film. They said they're going to possibly do an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, which I've already discussed to you is like why I think that would be a good idea.
I completely changed my mind on it.
But then the other one was a Boba Fett movie, which I honestly said, that sounds like a terrible idea. I don't know what your thought on a Boba Fett movie would be. They have, I think, James
that's a fan favorite character, but I don't know.
Well, they said that they have James Mangold, the guy who did Logan, to either write it and direct it or something like that, which super talented guy. That's great. I love that. The director, I do. But my problem with Boba Fett, if I don't want a Boba Fett movie, and I think that's what these people are saying. They're like, we don't want these movies. We want side story. We want stories like Rogue One. While you and I have our problems with Rogue One, we want stories
completely original.
We want stories like that.
Yeah, and yes, that's part of the reason why I didn't have much interest in Han Solo is because I don't need to know the origin story of a character that I kind of already know. Yeah,
and I didn't learn anything new.
What they're doing is just explaining what you already know in greater detail.
Yeah, I enjoyed Solo. I actually did. But I was like, I didn't learn anything new. Like, yeah, sure, I learned how he got his last name. Stupid. Sure, now I know how him and Chewbacca hooked up. Okay. Now I know why he's a little jaded or why he acts like this. How he got the Falcon. Well, I knew how he got the Falcon. He won it from Lando in a game. Like, I knew that. Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing is I don't need to know much about Boba Fett. I don't need, these young versions or these continuations of these characters. Unless they want to explore baby Boba Fett after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit. That's all I really would care. But once again, like, I don't need a whole fucking movie explaining that.
Yeah.
If they were going to do the expanded version of how Boba Fett, the expanded universe version of how he got out of the Sarlacc pit and the whole, like, thing he goes on with, like, Dengar and like his run-ins with other bounty hunters, like, yeah, sure, that's kind of cool, but honestly, that could all be done in a goddamn comic book, and it just doesn't need to be done in a movie.
Yeah.
I don't want the mystery of Boba Fett to be ruined, but also at the same time, I'm not one of those guys with a boner for Boba Fett, because I don't get why Boba Fett is so fucking popular. Besides that he's cool looking, and he has a jetpack, he doesn't do much,
Yeah.
and that's kind of it. I don't want a movie with him. But that's the thing is, I don't believe that they should discontinue the Star Wars story
Yeah,
universe.
the side story stuff. There's so many places they could go, though. There's so many things that they could explore that are more interesting and more original and aren't really that well known to the average Star Wars film fan.
Yes, exactly. But they don't. They just keep saying, like, we're
going to tell you the story of something that you already know that's explained to you in a film but off screen.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, exactly. It's stupid. But I do think that maybe they should kind of not completely hit the brakes, but pump them a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just... You got... This inability for Lucasfilm to just listen to fans. Now, I don't believe you should just out and out listen to fans.
Yeah, no,
I
because
forget,
that's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
idea.
I forget. One sports coach once said that coaches who listen to the fans are bound to sit with them. Like, you know, pretty much just saying, like, if you're going to listen to the fans, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And you're going to be joining them soon.
Yeah, because you're going to lose your fucking job.
Yeah. And
that's exactly right. Because if you've ever been on the fucking internet and you ever read fan fiction for any fandom, Harry Potter,
it's garbage.
Anything, it's all fucking trash. It's fucking garbage. And no fan should have control over any of these franchises.
But here's my thing. With Lucasfilm and Star Wars, there's a great quote in Mallrats. Yeah. Now, if you're watching the video feed right now, you'll get where I'm going with this. But it goes, here's the pulse. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we'll say the pulse is the fans.
Yeah.
Here's your pulse, or here's your fingers, which are the Lucasfilm jammed straight up your ass. And, like, that's kind of where they are. They just don't care, and they're so off the mark with what fans want. And I understand, do your own thing, but my God, at some point you gotta at least be semi close. You gotta be at least kind of on the pulse.
I think that's the mark of a good film studio to manipulate a franchise is to deliver something that the fans want that they don't know that they wanted.
Yeah, that's what they should do.
If you want to surprise them, then fucking actually surprise them. Don't give them exactly what they want, because
this Boba Fett movie, and even though I think that the potential for the Kenobi movie could be good, they could do a completely different thing with this. Mm-hmm. If they announced that James Mangold was going to be on Kenobi, I'd be like fucking losing my mind how good that would be, because I pretty much want Kenobi to be like Logan, and the guy who directed Logan is now somehow attached to Boba Fett. But it's the disregard for just kind of listening. It's a big fan group. It's a huge fan group.
And not all of it are nice people.
No, and a very small percentage. I've never met an asshole Star Wars fan.
Neither have I, but they're there. They exist.
I think it's a very small percentage. I almost
vocal minority is what I like to call that.
Loud, yeah. They got the megaphone, so they're going to be like me and you. You're a casuals fan. I'm pretty much a diehard one. I don't go screaming from the rooftops like, "The Last Jedi was terrible," because I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I don't go from the rooftops. This is true. I think the Rogue One's really overrated. I don't do that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's just
The only thing I do that about is demanding Shadows of the Empire.
Which I've been I'm on a Star Wars group, and anytime someone suggests like, what character would you bring into this universe? Prince Zijor. Yeah. What character do you wish would be involved in another franchise? Dash Rendar. Yeah. What ship would you like most to pilot? Outrider. What story would you like being Shadows of the Empire? If you could vote on one thing to be added to the Star Wars canon, Black Sun. Like,
it's true, because that's something that they could really do something.
The Black Sun was introduced in Star Wars Clone Wars, but they've never done anything with it.
So it is canon.
Black Sun and the Outrider are canon, but Dash Rendar and Prince Zijor are not.
And fuck, that's what they need to do.
I thought...
Do a fucking Shadows of the Empire.
That's a thing. I wish they would. Because they have this Jon Favreau story that's going to be... Like, his show's going to be taking place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, which I kind of would have wanted a movie between... A Star Wars story in between that. But no, we're getting that as a TV show, but okay. And then we're getting Star Wars Resistance, an animated show... taking place, I guess, before The Force Awakens. I guess. I think that's where they're kind of going with it, like the start of the Resistance. But I don't know.
I mean, they could do Shadows of the Empire really fucking well, and it could still take place during the Battle of Hoth and all these things, because Dash Rendar never really comes into direct contact with, I don't think, any of the characters.
No, he comes into contact with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo.
But
here's the thing.
It's over a communication device. Though.
No,
he doesn't actually meet them in person, I thought.
No, he meets a couple people in person. But the thing is that, okay, well then just don't have him meet those people. You don't need him to meet those people.
Or do the whole thing over a communicator. They can have their voices do the work and not
exactly.
be there.
You could actually be like, hey, this is Captain Han Solo. Or, hey, this is Luke Skywalker, something on those lines. Mm-hmm. But they're so minor to the plot
that it doesn't matter.
That it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Shadow of the Empire cannot be done. Especially when Shadow of the Empire could be done in a TV show very well. I think
that's what I think they should do with it.
That's what I think too. Because you can have Prince Zijor meeting up with Darth Vader. Like, you did it with Rogue One. You can bring Darth Vader in for that little fan service thing.
Yeah.
And no one's going to know the difference. Whether or not, like, if you actually get James Earl Jones. No one's going to care that much. Because Darth Vader was a cool part in Star Wars Rebels Season 2. Like, he was really cool, but they actually did get James Earl Jones for that. So that kind of is a moot point. But either way. Yeah. No one really cares if it's actually James Earl Jones. They just want to see...
If it sounds similar, they're not going to give a shit.
Yeah. So, I'm glad that they're not putting him on hold. I just kind of wish they would get their fingers out of their ass and put it more towards the pulse. Just a little bit. I'm not saying, as I said, listen 100% to the fans. But go to a test group and just say, do you want this? Would this be something you're interested in? Because the difference between Lucasfilm and the fans right now has never been so diverse and so separated. Yeah. It is night and day. Like, it wasn't this bad during the prequels. I understand that the internet was not like a massive thing, the social media, but man, the negativity in Star Wars right now and the just juxtaposition between them and Lucasfilm are just way too crazy. Way too crazy, if you ask me. Yeah. That's just my conclusion on the matter. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I want to say that I don't know if that giant gap between the fan base and Lucasfilm is entirely a valid measurement.
No, but
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not a valid measurement
because while it's there and it exists, how much of that fan base is just being a fucking crybaby, and how much of that is Lucasfilm going, well, they don't know what they're talking about.
True, but if you look at Solo, that's a big thing. When Rogue One, a film no one was asking for technically,
did pretty well.
Made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Solo's going to struggle to make even $700 million. I don't even think it'll make that. But it's struggling. Clearly, something is wrong because people are not going to see this movie. Something is up. No one's seeing it. And sure, you could say that people were just kind of spent on their money, but guess what? It just keeps dropping. It's not like people are like, oh no, I have money now, I'm going to go see Solo. People are, and it's not that the reviews are bad on it. Most people who see Star Wars Solo like it. Mm-hmm. They do.
Yeah.
They kind of say like, it's pretty good. I just kind of thought it was all right, but most people are liking it. I think it has like a 70% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. People aren't going to see it. So there's clearly an issue. We'll see when episode 9 comes out. If that has... I don't believe...
Yeah, if that continues the downward trend of attendance, then we have a problem.
Yes, we definitely have a problem. For sure.